Welcome to Insights. I'm Adam Rivers.
And I'm Sarah Collins. In this episode, we'll reflect carefully on the Qur'an verse by verse, focusing on wording, context, and coherence.
You know, usually when people approach ancient scriptures, specifically the Qur'an, they kind of come at it like they're studying a history textbook.
Yeah, like they're looking for dates or geography or maybe just the big theological arguments.
Exactly. But today, we are doing something very different. We are looking at a verse that acts less like a textbook and, well, more like a mirror.
That is a perfect way to frame it. We are pausing today on just 5 specific words in this verse. Just 5.
Yeah.
But the linguistic analysis surrounding these words suggests that if you really understand the grammar, and I mean the deep structural engineering of these sentences, it completely rewires how you view authority, psychology, and your own ego.
We're focusing on the 5th verse of the opening chapter, Al-Fatihah. The phrase is, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in,
Which translates to, it is you we worship and you we ask for help.
On the surface, to the casual listener, that sounds like a standard religious statement.
They're very standard. Yeah.
You hear things like that in hymns, in prayers, across different faiths all the time. But the breakdown we have here, ranging from linguistic dissections to psychological commentaries, paints a picture of this verse as a radical manifesto.
It really does.
It is described as a declaration of independence from everything except the divine.
It absolutely is. And to understand why it's a manifesto and not just a greeting card, you have to look at exactly where this verse sits in the chapter.
The context is everything here.
Right. We've spent previous episodes looking at the first 4 verses. Those were descriptive. They were a resume of God, essentially.
His name, his mercy, his kingship over the day of judgment.
Exactly. Note the pronoun there, he. It was all third person. You are learning about God. You are looking at the attributes of the divine from a distance, intellectually appreciating the magnitude of the Creator.
Like you're reading a plaque in a museum.
Yes, exactly. But here, in verse 5, the camera angle changes completely. The revelation snaps from the third person to the second person. The he becomes you.
This is what the linguistic scholars call iltifat, right? A sudden transition.
Yes, iltifat. It means turning or shifting attention. But it is much more than just a literary device to keep the reader awake.
It's a psychological shift.
Totally. The commentary describes the previous verses as a ladder. You climb up the first rung by understanding the mercy.
Right.
You climb the next by understanding the judgment, and that knowledge creates a state of mind where you are finally ready to stand directly in front of the king and speak.
It ceases to be a lecture about theology and becomes a conversation.
It becomes a covenant. That is the key word to keep in mind today. This is the moment the speaker signs the contract.
Moving from the mouth to the heart.
You move from the cold tongue of stating facts to the warm heart of direct address. You are saying, I see who you are. I have described you as the king and the merciful. And because of that realization, here is my commitment.
Here's where I stand.
Exactly.
It's intense when you think about it. You stop talking about God and start talking to God. It implies presence. You can't say you to someone who isn't there.
Precisely. It implies that the speaker has moved from the intellectual appreciation of God's attributes to standing face to face, metaphorically speaking, with the source of existence.
It turns the Qur'an from a description into a relationship.
And contracts have precise language. So let's take this contract apart, word by word, because the analysis makes a massive deal out of the very first word in this verse.
Iyyaka, which translates to you or you alone.
Correct. And this is where the grammar gets fascinating.
I love when we get into the grammar because usually, grammar is boring, but here it seems like the grammar is where the secret code is hidden.
It really is. In Arabic rhetoric, word order is everything. So let's look at the sentence structure. In English, if I want to tell someone I worship them or I love them, I use a subject-verb-object order.
Right. I say, I worship you.
I is the subject. Worship is the verb. You is the object. And that is actually the standard order in Arabic, too.
Okay.
The normal way to say this would be nabuduka. We worship you.
But that is not what the verse says.
No. The verse flips the table, it takes the object you and rips it from the end of the sentence and sticks it right up the front. Iyyaka nabudu. You, we worship.
Now, to a casual listener or someone reading a basic translation, that might just sound like poetic phrasing like Yoda speak. You, we worship.
Right.
Does it actually change the meaning or is it just for rhythm?
It changes the entire logical structure of the statement. The scholars of rhetoric are adamant about this. In Arabic, when you move the object to the front, it creates a specific function called hasr. That means restriction, exclusivity.
So it's not just highlighting the you, it's eliminating everyone else.
Exactly. Let's use a real-world example. If I say to my spouse, I love you, that's a beautiful statement.
For sure.
But strictly logically speaking, it leaves open the possibility that I might love you and I might also love someone else.
Ouch. Okay. I love you and I also love my neighbor. The sentence structure doesn't forbid it.
Right. But if I say, you I love, or it is you I love, in the Arabic grammatical sense, it implies it is you and nothing else that I love.
That's a huge difference.
By placing Iyyaka first, the verse is creating a linguistic spotlight. It creates a tunnel vision. The speaker is saying, I am looking at you and my peripheral vision has gone black. There is no one else in the room.
That is incredibly intense. It turns a statement of service into a statement of exclusion.
Yeah.
I worship you means I am doing this act. Is you I worship means I am doing this act for you and I am refusing to do it for anyone else.
And that refusal is why this grammar is so necessary. The psychological analysis of this verse talks about the divided heart. This is a huge theme in the reflection on this surah.
Humans are natural polytheists when it comes to what we rely on.
We are profound hedgers. We are multitaskers of devotion.
We spread our bets out.
We do. We might give God the ritual, the Friday prayer, the fasting, the pilgrimage. We say, okay, God, you get the religious stuff.
But who do we really fear on Monday morning when we walk into the office?
The boss. Or the quarterly report.
Exactly, or the algorithm. We have a God of public opinion. We have a God of financial security.
We have a God of looking cool.
The heart is scattered into 1,000 pieces. We fear poverty more than we fear compromising our ethics. We love praise more than we love truth.
So Iyyaka acts as a kind of audit. It's checking the books.
Ooh, I like that. An audit.
It is an exposure mechanism. When you say you alone or Iyyaka, the revelation is challenging you. It's asking, is that true?
Because if you're terrified of losing your job to the point that you will lie, cheat, and compromise your ethics, then you aren't living Iyyaka.
No, you are worshiping the paycheck and you're just tipping your hat to God.
That hits hard. It suggests that fear and hope are forms of worship.
That's a deep theological point. Worship isn't just bowing down. Worship is about ultimate concern. Who has the final say in your life? If your boss tells you to do something unethical and God tells you not to, who wins? Whoever wins is who you are actually worshiping in that moment.
So if I fear a human being more than I fear compromising my principles, I've technically given that human being a status that belongs to God.
That is the core insight of this verse. The scholars say that whoever you obey unconditionally, whoever you hope in for your ultimate safety, that is your God, regardless of what religion you put on the census form.
Wow.
Iyyaka demands you gather all those scattered loyalties, the fear, the hope, the love, the ambition, and beam them at one single point.
It's an integration of the personality. You stop being a fragmented person who is one way at the place of worship and another way at the office.
Precisely. It kills hypocrisy because it demands a single standard for your internal life. You can't be a monotheist of the tongue and a polytheist of the heart.
I want to dig into this idea of the polytheist of the heart a bit more because it sounds abstract, but practically it's what causes so much anxiety, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
If I have to please my boss and my spouse and my friends and the internet and God, I'm pulled in 5 different directions.
And that is exactly why the Qur'an frames monotheism as a form of relief. There is another verse later on that compares a person who serves multiple quarreling masters to a person who serves just one master.
The person with one master is at peace.
The person with many masters is constantly torn apart. Iyyaka is the declaration that frees you from the other masters.
That's a liberating way to look at it. It's not just a rule, it's a strategy for mental health. Focus on one and everything else falls into place.
Exactly.
Now, moving through the verse, we run into another oddity in the grammar. We have this repetition. The verse reads, "It is you we worship and it is you we ask for help."
Wa Iyyaka nasta'in.
Why repeat the Iyyaka? In English, we just say, we worship and ask you for help. We wouldn't say, you we worship and you we ask. It feels redundant, like we just established we are talking to God. Why say you alone twice in one sentence?
It feels redundant if you're just conveying information. If I say I bought milk and I bought eggs, I don't need to say I bought twice. But it's not redundant if you are trying to close a loophole.
What's the loophole?
A loophole of separating the secular from the religious. The analysis argues that humans are generally okay with giving God the religious slice of the pie. We are comfortable with worship belonging to God.
You take the rituals, God. I'll take the real world.
Right. I will worship you in the prayer hall. I will bow down. I will handle the theology. We are comfortable with that because it's contained. It's safe. It doesn't necessarily interfere with how we do business or how we run our politics.
And when it comes to the second half,
When it comes to isti'ana, which means seeking help, reliance, sustenance, we turn entirely to the material world.
we trust the doctor more than the healer. We trust the weapon more than the protector. We trust the bank account more than the provider.
We trust the means and forget the source. We become materialists in our reliance, even if we are believers in our rituals.
And that's where the repetition comes in.
The repetition of Iyyaka in the second half, and you alone we ask for help, is slamming that door shut.
It's saying, no, I see what you're doing.
It's saying, no, you don't just give him the prayer. You have to give him the reliance. You have to trust him with the outcome of your life, not just the rituals of your faith. You cannot say, God is my Lord, and then act as if your entire survival depends solely on kissing up to a corrupt official.
That sounds terrifying to the modern ego. We love control. We love thinking, I have a plan, I have a backup plan, and I have insurance.
And the revelation isn't saying don't have a plan. We'll get to that when we discuss Nastasi. It's not about being passive, but it is saying don't worship your plan. Don't think your plan is the God that saves you, because plans fail.
Markets crash. Health deteriorates.
If your reliance is on the plan, you are fragile. If your reliance is on God through the plan, you are resilient.
There's a connector here, too, grammatically. The word wa, which means and. We worship and we ask for help. The notes highlight that there is no pause between them. They are fused.
This is the structural anatomy of a healthy spirit. The scholars define it as the marriage of purpose and power.
Unpack that for me. Purpose and power.
We worship is the purpose. It's the why. It gives your life direction, ethics, and meaning. It answers the question, what am I doing here? I am here to serve the good, the true, the divine.
Okay. And we ask for help.
That is the power. That is the how. It's the fuel you need to get there. It answers the question, how am I going to achieve that purpose?
And if you split them,
You get dysfunction. Think about worship without help. That's the person who says, I am going to change the world. I am going to be righteous. I am going to be perfect. But they rely only on their own willpower.
they burn out, or they become arrogant and judgmental.
They collapse because human will is finite. We get tired, we get tempted. If you try to carry the burden of worship without the fuel of help, you will break.
Now flip it. What is help without worship?
Asking for power without a moral compass.
It's just panic. God, give me money. God, give me victory. God, give me strength.
But for what? To oppress people, to buy a bigger yacht, to show off. It's aimless energy. This verse insists you need both. You need a high moral aim, which is the worship, and you need to admit you're too weak to reach it on your own, which is the help.
It's like a car. Worship is the steering wheel. It tells you where to go. Help is the gas. It gets you there.
Perfect analogy. Gas without steering is a crash. Steering without gas is a parked car. You need both to move.
I want to circle back to something we sort of glossed over at the beginning, but looking at the analysis of this verse, it's actually a huge point. The pronouns. We've been saying we this whole time.
Yes.
Never do we worship. Now it's time we ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
But the person reciting this, say, in the context of the ritual prayer, might be standing completely alone in their bedroom at 3 in the morning. There is no one else there. Why are they forced to say we?
It's a very deliberate choice. The Qur'an forces you into the plural.
Why not I worship? It seems more personal, more intimate. My God, I worship you.
It is more personal, but it's also more dangerous. The spiritual masters warn that using I, saying, I worship, I serve, I am praying, feeds the ego. It centers the self. Look at me, looking at God.
The spiritual ego. I am the Holy One. I am the one awake while everyone else sleeps.
Right. It can subtly breed a sense of specialness. By forcing the speaker to say we, the phrasing dissolves the I. It reminds you that you are just one drop in a massive ocean of believers. Whether you are a CEO or a janitor, when you stand in this position, you are part of the collective. You are no better than anyone else.
You are just one of the we.
Exactly.
It's a democratization of the spiritual experience. You check your rank at the door.
It is. But there's a second layer that I find even more profound. The we forces you to carry the community with you.
What do you mean?
When you say guide us, help us, you are acknowledging that your salvation is tied to the well-being of others. You can't be a spiritual hermit who ignores the suffering of the world.
That challenges a very modern individualistic view of spirituality, the whole "it's just me and the universe" vibe. I'm spiritual but not religious, which usually means I focus on my own vibes.
The Quran rejects that isolation. It establishes the concept of an ummah, a community. The analysis puts it beautifully. You cannot truly say we worship and then go out and cheat the people included in that we.
You cannot say, "we ask for help," and then ignore the cries of the helpless.
Exactly. It creates a social contract. If your prayer doesn't make you a better citizen of the community, if it doesn't make you kinder to your neighbor, then the we is a lie. You are saying a plural word with a singular heart.
That really raises the stakes of the prayer. It's not just a ritual, it's a commitment to a community.
It creates a specific etiquette with God. You aren't the center of the universe. You are part of the worlds that He's the Lord of.
Let's get technical with the vocabulary for a minute. We keep translating Nabudu as "we worship." In English, worship brings up images of choirs, candles, maybe incense. It's very ritualistic. It sounds like something you do for an hour a week.
And that's a limited translation. The Arabic root is much grittier. It's much more all-encompassing. Yes, it means to serve or to be a slave. But linguistically, it shares a root with tabid, which refers to paving a road.
Paving a road. That seems like a stretch.
Yeah.
How do you get from worship to asphalt?
Think about what a paved road is. A road that is mu'abbad is one that has been smoothed. It has been worked on. The rocks have been crushed, the potholes filled, the bumps leveled out so that travel is easy. It has been made submissive to the traveler.
I love that image. So worship isn't just chanting, it's internal landscaping.
That's it. It's the process of smoothing out the resistance in your own soul. We all have rocks. Our pride, our anger, our greed, our laziness. We have potholes, our insecurities, our fears. Worship is the steamroller. It levels the ego so that the path of truth becomes walkable.
Because if the road is full of boulders, you can't drive on it. If I'm full of arrogance, I can't actually follow divine guidance. Even if I want to, I'll crash.
You'll trip. You'll stumble. So Nabudu implies this active, sweaty work of self-discipline. It's molding yourself to fit the standard. It's not just standing in a room. It's crushing the ego that says, I am better than him, or I deserve more than her.
But let's address the elephant in the room. The root implies slavery or servitude. Abid. In the modern world, slavery is the ultimate evil. It implies oppression, lack of agency, cruelty. We fight wars to end slavery. How does the Quran reconcile freedom, which is what everyone wants, with being a slave to God?
This is the central paradox of this verse, and honestly, it's one of the most intellectually stimulating parts of this analysis. The argument is this: human beings are designed to serve. We are wired for devotion. We will inevitably worship something.
Like Bob Dylan said, you're going to have to serve somebody.
He was historically and theologically correct. There is no such thing as a human being with no master. If you don't worship God, you don't become free in a vacuum. You just swap masters. You become a slave to your career, a slave to your impulses, a slave to the approval of strangers on the internet, a slave to fashion trends.
And those masters are cruel.
They are tyrants. Think about it. If your master is public opinion, you are constantly terrified of being canceled. You are humiliated every time you don't get enough likes. You change your personality to fit the room. That is slavery.
If your master is money, you are never satisfied. You are always grinding. You can never rest because the number has to go up.
Exactly. Those are what the surrounding verses imply, are scattered slaveries. They tear you apart. So the argument is, you're going to be a slave anyway. You're going to serve something. So choose the master who is merciful. Choose the master who created you rather than a master you created.
And choose the master who liberates you from all the other masters.
This is the key. By declaring, I am a slave to God alone, Iyyaka na'budu, you are effectively declaring independence from the world. You can look a dictator in the eye and say, you don't own me. You can hurt my body, but you don't own my soul. You can look at a corrupt boss and say, I won't lie for you because I answer to a higher authority.
It's a rebellion.
It is the ultimate rebellion. It makes the human being untamable by worldly power. If you can't be bought and you can't be scared, you are free. And that freedom only comes from being anchored to something higher than the world.
That flips the whole concept of slavery on its head. In this context, slavery to God is the mechanism of freedom from everything else.
Precisely. And notice the tense, Nabudu. It's present tense. We are worshiping.
It's not we worshipped back in the day.
No. It's continuous. It's a lifestyle, it asks. How do I handle power right now? How do I treat the weak right now? Is my hidden self consistent with my public self? Worship is the operating system running in the background of every single interaction.
Which brings us to the second half of the equation. We've paved the road, we've declared our independence from false gods. Now we say, Wa Iyyaka nasta'in. And you alone we ask for help.
Nasta'in. The root here is on, which means aid or assistance. But the form nasta'in implies asking for help specifically when you are struggling with a task. It implies effort.
The analysis calls this the strength of admitting need, which again is countercultural. We live in the era of the self-made man. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
The self-made man is a myth. It's a delusion. No one is self-made. You didn't create your own DNA. You didn't create the oxygen you breathe. You didn't choose the era you were born in. You didn't teach yourself language. It was given to you. We are fragile, dependent creatures from the moment we are born until the moment we die.
But we hate admitting it. We see dependency as weakness.
We hate it because our egos want to be gods. We want to be self-sufficient. But the Quran suggests that admitting need is actually in alignment with reality. It's honest. And pretending you are a god who controls everything is a recipe for a nervous breakdown.
So nasta'in is a relief valve.
It's a reality check. It says, I have a goal, but I have limited power. We often know what the right thing to do is. We know we should forgive that person who hurt us. We know we should quit that bad habit. We know we should work harder. The problem isn't knowledge. The problem is power.
We are too weak to do what we know is right.
Exactly. Our will is weak. Our emotions are strong. So Nassim is asking for an infusion of power. It's plugging into the grid. Odd, my battery is dead. I know the path, but I can't walk it. Carry me.
But, and the notes are very specific about this, it's not passive. You don't just sit on the couch and say, God, pay my rent.
No. This is where people get confused. The grammar of isti'ana implies seeking help while engaged in the effort. It's not asking someone to do the job for you while you sleep. It's asking someone to help you while you work.
The analysis used the analogy of moving a couch.
Right. Think of it like moving a heavy sofa. You don't stand in the other room and yell, help me move this, while sipping tea. You grab the corner, you lift until your muscles are shaking, and then you scream, help, because you can't do it alone.
So the help is a partnership.
It's a synergy. It balances two extremes that destroy human potential. The first extreme is arrogance. I do it all. I am the master of my destiny. That leads to pride when you succeed and devastation when you fail.
And the second extreme?
Fatalism. I do nothing. It's all destiny. If God wants me to have a job, he'll give me a job. That leads to laziness and stagnation.
Nasta'in is the middle way.
It is. I lift the hand, but God gives the strength. I study for the test, but God grants the clarity. I go to the doctor, but God grants the healing. It allows you to work incredibly hard without the anxiety of thinking the entire universe rests on your shoulders.
That sounds like a much healthier way to live. You take responsibility for the effort, but you resign responsibility for the outcome.
Exactly. You tie your camel, and then you trust in God. You don't just leave the camel untied and say God will protect it, and you don't stay up all night staring at the camel because you don't trust God. You tie it and you sleep.
We're coming to the end of the analysis, but we have to look at the sequence. We have worship and help. Why this order? I mean, humans are needy. Usually if I go to a powerful person, I ask for a favor first.
Can I borrow $5?
Exactly. Can I get a job? Then maybe I'll say something nice. Why does this verse put we worship before we ask for help?
It's to protect the relationship from becoming transactional. If we asked for help first, we would treat God like a cosmic vending machine.
Push button, get blessing.
Right. Fix my car, heal my knee, get me that promotion, and then if I get it, maybe I'll pray. That makes God a servant of your desires. It reverses the cosmic order.
That butler in the sky.
Exactly. And that is an inversion of reality. By placing Iyyaka first, you are setting the context. You are saying, my primary goal is to serve the truth. My primary identity is a servant of the divine.
So then, when you ask for help,
the request is purified. The context has changed. You aren't asking for help to go rob a bank. You aren't asking for help to cheat on your spouse or oppress your neighbor because you just said, we worship you. So now you are effectively asking, help me to worship you. Help me to fulfill this covenant.
It aligns the means with the ends.
It ensures that your prayers for help are dignified. You are asking for the strength to be a good servant, not just to satisfy your appetites. It transforms the prayer from, give me what I want, to help me do what you want.
The analysis wraps up by discussing the political implications of this. We touched on it with the slavery discussion, but there's a specific point here about patronage.
This is huge, especially in traditional societies, but honestly, it applies everywhere. Historically, how did you survive? You needed a patron, a lord. a chief, a political connection. In the Middle East, they call it wasta.
It's the who-you-know economy. You have to kiss the ring.
You have to humiliate yourself. You have to laugh at the boss's bad jokes. You have to look away when they do something wrong. You have to vote how they tell you to vote, because if you don't, they cut off your access. They cut off your help.
And the revelation argues that Iyyaka breaks this chain.
It shatters it. If you truly believe that the only real help, the only real sustenance, the only real power comes from the creator of the heavens, you stop begging at the doors of creation.
You lose the desperation.
And when you lose the desperation, you gain dignity. The commentary talks about izahana, or dignity. The believer is humble before God, but stands tall before tyrants.
It's a very dangerous idea for authoritarian systems.
It is. A person who doesn't need the system is a threat to the system. If you can't be bribed with help, and you can't be threatened with harm because you believe both come from God, you are uncontrollable. You are a free agent.
So let's summarize the psychological balance here. The notes say this verse cures two major diseases: arrogance and despair.
The two cliffs we fall off of.
How does it cure arrogance?
We ask for help kills arrogance. You can't be full of yourself if you are admitting multiple times a day in your prayers, I can't make it on my own. It forces a permanent state of humility. You know that any success you have is a gift, not just your own genius.
And despair.
We worship kills despair. Despair comes from feeling useless, feeling like you're just space debris floating in a cold universe, feeling like nothing matters. But we worship tells you, no, you have a purpose. You have a role to play in the cosmos. You are connected to the king. You have a job to do.
So you aren't a god. That's the arrogance check. But you aren't nothing. That's the despair check.
You are a servant. And in that middle ground, you find peace. You find the balance between knowing your limits and knowing your value.
It is incredible how much heavy lifting these 5 words are doing in this surah. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in.
It's the anchor of the entire book. Everything before it, the praise, the names of God leads up to it, and everything after it, the prayer for guidance, flows out of it. It is the moment the human being finds their place in the universe. It is the ultimate reality check.
This has been a fascinating look at how grammar, psychology, and theology intersect in just one sentence. It forces you to ask, who is my Iyyaka? Who is the you that I'm really focusing on?
And where do I turn when the road gets rocky? It's a lifetime of reflection packed into a breath.
That's it for this episode of Insights.
If you found this reflection helpful, follow the show and join us next time as we continue verse by verse in the Qur'an.
Until then, take one idea from this verse into your day.